you doing, Joe?
I'm doing good. Hey, Carlos.
Yeah. Our friend Duane makes an appearance.
Yes, so that was my little homage to What's Happening, who is a guest star, who utters those famous lines on What's Happening is a guest star in this first episode for...
And if you only have a vague recollection of What's Happening, Rerun is the real big guy, and Raj is the skinny guy, and the guy with the big afro, that's Duane, and that's Haywood Nelson, who makes an appearance here in our first episode, a very serious, probably the most serious episode we've had through 2 seasons, called Sudden Death. Yeah, I've got so many notes on this, I don't know if we want to go plot or just little tidbits.
Well, let me just give you my impression of this.
Yeah.
It is the second highest rated episode on IMDb overall.
Okay.
So that was the thing that was interesting. And the realism, candidness of some of the dialogue took me aback. And not that it can't be uttered in 2026, but it was that mom, man. I don't want to mess with her.
Yeah, no. And so let's set it up a little bit. So we have a young man who I believe just transfers to the school and likes basketball.
Yeah, was a freshman, right? Randy Judd.
And Vice Principal Buchanan says, "Hey, go talk to Ken Reeves."
Yep.
And the kid's got a little bit of game. He gets a little dog tired a little bit. And
and when he starts, he does the little tryout, and he's got some talent, but he's never played organized ball.
Yep.
And then he gives a permission slip to the kid.
Yeah. Yep.
And and the kid's mom wouldn't sign it.
Yeah, the kid's mom is like, no, I don't want him to get hurt. He's here for education. Actually, I knew kids in high school I knew a kid had braces and the family mortgaged their entire future for it and said, hell no, we're not letting you play any sport where those could get damaged. But she was very adamant. And then the father, I will point him out, is played by a gentleman, Hal Williams.
Yes.
Hal Williams is probably best known for work on Sanford and Son, but he is the father on this episode. I don't want to say the voice of reason, but he is trying to accommodate his son's desires to do something with his wife's desire that he be a productive adult and concentrate on things that aren't foolish.
Yeah, and my thoughts about him was first off, their house. Now, this is what I call also the first of the Ken Reeves car episodes.
Yes.
Ken Reeves
or car lack thereof.
Yes. His car broke down, so he had to take the bus to, again, go talk to the parents about getting him on the team.
Yeah, that was when I noticed Ken Reeves on the bus.
And it was a very nice house. And then the guy came out with a smoking pipe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously we find out that he's a bus driver too as well. But I just thought,
who was it the very first whose father is a minister?
Oh, it was Jackson.
So it's kind of, and that was like a really nice house too. So it's kind of like going, this may be the high end of central LA because they've had some nice houses.
Yeah, so that was the thing that was interesting, and it was Hal Williams. I remember him too from Sergeant. In the Private Benjamin TV series.
Yes, yep. He has passed away this week.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he just passed away a couple days ago. Let's point out him and his other work, but he actually, how would I put his character? I mean, without revealing too much. I would say that I want to live in a world where people behave like that father.
Yeah, and I think
I don't believe I live in that world, but I wish I did.
He balances his son's wants and needs, and then the feelings of others he takes into consideration.
Yeah. The other important thing so the kid's practicing. He's, I'm tired, and Reeves is like, run laps, right? He's just like, you're dogging it, kid. Run laps, right? Which is what every coach I've ever had would say in that circumstance.
Yeah.
No coach up until that time was like, oh, son, really? Let's talk about your problems. No, that's not how you react. And typically teenagers are healthy. Particularly, this is one, did they mention having to get a doctor's?
Yeah, there's a brief scene where he has a physical. Yeah. But it's like the one from that, I forget the movie, but it's almost like the doctor has a cigarette hanging out of his mouth.
Yeah. Actually, we'll come back to that when we get to the main plot point of this, but let's come back to those medical exams because I have a real life story about what can happen in those. But I think it's another practice, not the one where he's dog tired and stuff. They're scrimmaging and he just goes down.
he goes down and he has an aneurysm, right?
Aneurysm, yeah. He's down. They got the ambulance. At the hospital is just Ken Reeves in the waiting room. Up in the, what do you call that? ICU, his parents are, but just Reeves is the only one there.
Yeah.
And this is, I think I teased this last week, but in my mind, I was like, where are the lawyers? The lawyers would be all over this.
That's right.
Principal, there would be no comments. There would be no communications with the family. But in this case, Reeves is there. The mom, justifiably, I cannot blame the mom. If I were in her shoes, I would be very angry. I would not be thinking rationally. And yeah, she's just not a fan of Ken Reeves.
And she was the one who was the most adamant against the whole basketball piece. She's there for his education. And she was the person that if she would have gotten a lawyer if that was the thing that would have happened in that era.
But apparently the medical reality as it gets explained to Reeves to assuage his guilt, it's just like a ticking bomb. It's going to go off when it goes off, and whether you're active or not, or whether you're running around or not, it'll blow when she blows.
Exactly. And I think one of the kind of the poignant things that he talks about was with this young freshman kid is he wanted to mold him, right? I could see taking this kid with talent and making him X.
Yeah. Which is,
so maybe that's why he was hard on him.
Because particularly in the next episode, we have Ken Reeves thinking about what he wants to be when he grows up. And he's already caught the bug. He's already caught the bug of being close with these kids and caring about them. And he's also caught the bug of, hey, I can coach him up. I could be good at this coaching thing. And this is the first nuggets of that.
Yeah, no, it's good. And I think too that the team too, there's a scene briefly while he's not feeling well where his arm goes numb.
Yeah.
And Gomez, but Goldstein says, hey, put some oil or some liniment oil or something.
Yeah.
Well, so he was fitting in.
I was 16 and my arm was numb. I must have hit my elbow and I didn't notice it, right? You wouldn't.
But no, I think it was that particular thing. I think he didn't have a very big role, but I think the kid did well.
Yeah.
He did pretty well.
No, he did. And there's just something, there is a charisma that Haywood Nelson has, just a light, airy way where he talks. I felt that in the character Duane for what's happening. I still think it'd be a good rewatch for us, but I felt it here too. He's just a very sweet sounding kid. Where I feel like the show, I wish Hal Williams at the end, when he talks to Reeves, it's like I said, I wish if I were in those circumstances, I would show as much grace to Ken Reeves as he did, understanding. I just don't know that soon after losing a child, you would get that kind of response from a parent.
I thought that was well acted and was a great kind of just a brief scene between those two characters. Yeah, and Hal Williams, Hill Street Blues, guest appearance.
There you go as well,
And I guess I read something interesting about him is that I never knew about this show, but he was on the Jimmy Stewart show back in the early 70s. I didn't know Jimmy Stewart had a show.
I did not know that.
He got fired from that because he was portraying a police officer questioning Jimmy Stewart, and Jimmy didn't like it, so they fired him.
Oh God, that's funny.
But no, then go ahead.
I was going to say a couple of weird notes. There is a point in times when Reeves wears a sweater, which I swear to God, he stole out of Charlie Brown's closet. Oh, yeah. It's like going, oh, wow, that was like the wardrobe department lost a bet or something. Because honestly, Charlie Brown looking sweater. And then there's an interesting moment with Reeves and Buchanan, which I love the Reeves and Buchanan stuff, where he's trying to con her or sweet talk her into getting the basketball court redone or cleaned. When he goes, it happens twice a year, just like everywhere else, so this and that. And he's trying to get it done. And it just occurred to me, I'd never thought about I don't know, you run a broom over it. What other care and love does a basketball court need? But I would imagine it does need some care and love.
Resurfacing on occasion.
Yeah.
But no, and then, played the mom, that Madge Sinclair.
Yeah.
She was an interesting actress. She was the first female captain of Star Trek in Star Trek 4.
Oh, wow.
And she didn't make an appearance. She did 122 episodes on Trapper John MD.
Oh, wow. You know what? We had somebody else that was from Trapper John on a prior one.
It was the bad kid.
Yes, we're going to have to investigate the Trapper John White Shadow pipeline.
Yeah, who was the bad kid who...
Yes, I remember.
His parents couldn't... I have 2 good kids and I have 1 bad kid.
Yeah, Albert Hodges.
Yeah, that's right. No, it was before Albert. It was...
from the first season, okay.
Yeah, so it was that. But
right. No, you're right. You're right. It was the first time that somebody went to attack Sybil.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, but yeah, she won an Emmy in 1991 for a show called Gabriel's Fire, which is with James Earl Jones. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
And I've never heard of this either. I was alive, obviously, but so it was Gabriel's Fire for 2 years, and then it wasn't doing well, so they morphed it into a buddy comedy called Pros and Cons, changed her name, and made her again the love interest of James Earl Jones, but it never resonated. So kind of over our heads, Carlos, another forgotten piece of television.
That's truly forgotten. I don't think it was ever. Can you forget something you never knew about in the first place?
Yeah, I don't know. But this is the one more factoid, Carlos, that resonated with me the most, and I think it'll resonate with you, was she played a role in 1 in a Million, the Ron LaFleur story.
Nice.
The Detroit Tigers guy I remember him very well from the Detroit Tigers.
Wasn't his claim to fame that he went from the penitentiary to the ball field? That big claim to fame?
Yep. Yeah. He was Billy, the Yankees manager.
Billy Martin?
Billy Martin was manager at Detroit at the time, and somebody asked him to go see this guy in prison league, and they got him out on probation to play baseball. So I think he still holds the record for 89 stolen bases in a season for Detroit. But cool. I thought one of these days on your other podcast, maybe Ron LaFleur will take center stage.
That's a great little callback to the past. The second you said it, I knew exactly who he was and knew his backstory. Yeah, it was a big deal in the 70s.
Yeah, because I remember watching him on TV was there a Monday Night Baseball?
Yes, yeah. There actually used to be Monday Night Baseball on ABC with Howard Cosell in the booth.
Yes. And then I can't remember which one of those episodes that this happened in, but they did the Howard Cosell impersonation again.
Yes, it was in the No Place Like Home. It was when Coolidge was scrimmaging against Jackson, and Reese was doing his Cosell again.
That's it. Yeah. So there we go. So very good.
Rounding into episode 5 of season 2, A Silent Cheer, where we got a couple of plots going on here. We've got a Ken Reeves kind of plot, and we've got a kid, and a Hal Williams, a Tigers dad, kind of a sports dad, who's got a kid that he's always drilling. And he wants him they're transferring, and he wants to play for Coach Reeves. Now, it's interesting that it seems like this father has come up with this massive plan for his son's future and has never bothered to pick up the phone or call Ken Reeves or see if Ken Reeves has any interest in his kid or to see if he can play on the team. We're moving.
Yeah, that's what I couldn't believe. It was like, when he said that they're moving, it was like, the wife alluded to that. We've been trying to get out of places like this.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Reeves. And once again, you can't read into everybody's motives, but it's not just a stereotype. I lived seeing the sports dads that want to get the glory through their child, and it usually is a pretty bad experience for the child and can get ugly. So automatically, I'm like, the guy loves his kid and this and that, but Dad, just dial it back a little.
My Babe Ruth coach was like that. Yeah. I can't remember his name. I remember his kid's first name, but this kid had to be perfect.
Yeah.
Those were always kind of tough things.
I grew up in the suburbs, Pleasantville, which I'll call St. Louis Park, Minnesota in the 80s. And I know of at least 2 separate incidents where fathers physically assaulted their children to their sports performance, which is just beyond psychotic. We haven't even gotten into the sports rage stuff. This was 50 years before all that stuff, but it's kind of crazy. But regardless, Dad brings in the kid, does all the talking for the kid, which is important.
Yeah.
And Reeves is like, all right, we'll take a look at you and we'll let you try out. But one thing Reeves didn't pick up on is the fact the kid has lost his hearing.
Yeah. And that becomes quite obvious as the practice.
That becomes quite obvious. He's playing on the team. He's got some skills, but the reaction of his teammates is, this guy's really stuck up or goofy or crazy. You got to tell him stuff 3 or 4 times before he listens.
Yeah,
if he's not looking at you, he's reading lips. So if you're not looking at him.
And it felt a bit forced, didn't it? Right? Yeah. That part?
Oh, it really. And listen, this is one where I am speaking out of experience, but my experience may be totally not reality for most people. But in my experience, folks that have hearing issues, you can tell by their speech sometimes.
Oh, yeah, because they can't hear themselves.
Yeah, and so now this kid says he got an illness and then lost his hearing. And I don't know if it's different like that or not. But regardless, we have another situation where the White Shadow in the 1970s was talking about inclusion.
Yeah, and he wanted him to still stay on the team.
Yeah.
And he is the only player outside of the main players who has made a basket in a game.
Yep. Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting. And obviously Dad was shown there as the proud papa when that all happened.
Yeah. But in the meantime, our coach gets a visit from a pro scout.
Yep, who he's buddy with.
He's buddy with, and he's like, hey, who are you scouting, Coolidge? And he's like, no, I'm here to scout you. Like, how's the knee?
And that was... Just saying, that was this episode, that part of it is probably my biggest memory of watching The White Shadow was Ken Reeves being recruited for this role, for the Portland Trail Blazers.
Exactly. Yeah. And I did not look up the name of the actor who played the agent, the scout, but perfect how I would expect a scout for the NBA in the 70s to act and behave.
Yeah.
I thought it was perfect.
Yeah, I remember, I did look him up briefly, but I didn't, there was anything sort of...
that stood out. He actually reminded me, if you remember the main character that Al Pacino kills in Scarface, the one at the very beginning. That's okay. That's the Mancuso.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to what this guy was, but Reeves is interested. I think the lure of lacing him up at NBA... What did the guy say? I need 12 minutes out of you. Can your knee give us 12 minutes a night?
Yep. And he was with the of course, the typical, he's trying to get in shape to go in for this tryout that happens to be at his high school on one-on-one, which is bizarre.
But the one thing you do need to keep in mind is that one of the pressures Ken Reeves is dealing with is the transmission is out. This is another auto episode. The tranny is out in his car and was at $400.
That's right. And that kind of is one of the motivating factors.
Yeah, you would kind of, it's not, is this guy a jerk? He's going to abandon these kids. It's kind of, you know what? He's kind of struggling, right? He's got needs. He's not driving a Ferrari. No. He's driving I think Clark Griswold would say, you know what? A walk. Station wagon.
Were you kind of shocked, though, at how much he was going to get paid as an NBA player?
I was. What did I say, $500 a night?
So that's $41,000 a year. Yeah. Because it was $500 a game, 82 games. Yeah. Obviously, this was pre-Larry Bird, Magic Johnson NBA.
The thing is, if you say that was league minimum back in the 70s, I would bet that's not off by a lot.
Yeah, and I think
league minimum in baseball before free agency was like $13,000. It really wasn't. It was not. Nobody was getting rich off league minimum in baseball. That's why all the athletes that we loved as kids, particularly the football players, they all sold cars or sold copiers or did other stuff to supplement their income because they were not making big bank. The Vikings had a tight end by the name of Steve Jordan, who was also an architect. And there was a point in time where he said, no, I think he was holding out, but he's like, my salary is more working as an architect than in the NFL, so I'm not coming back. You would know him. His son Cam Jordan has had a Hall of Fame career down there in New Orleans. But so the $500 a night it's shocking thinking back.
Yep.
I would. You know what? I will do some research for next week and find out what the average or the minimum salary was then compared to now. Like how much of one of those kids that's getting picked up on a 10-day contract, how much are they making?
Yeah, it was interesting to see that. And the other scene that kind of resonates most with me, and it was replicated in my youth. Yeah. Do you remember the scene when Coolidge is shooting free throws badly and he's supposed to be emulating the kid Simpsons because he's a free throw shooter?
Yep.
He would pull it from the side and put it in.
Yeah.
I think that I saw that technique in games for the next 2 years.
Really?
People were copying it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I guess I wasn't paying attention but I can see that. You didn't have ESPN.
Yep.
You didn't have YouTube. That was that if you were looking for free throw help, that was probably all you were ever going to find on TV.
Yeah, and I think people thought they were cool like Coolidge, so I want to be cool like Coolidge. Let me do this weird free throw.
Yeah. And there's more we talked about it, but season 2 is, Coolidge is the stars. Coolidge is the star.
Yeah.
After season 1 of barely any Coolidge, now it's clear Coolidge is the superstar of the team. And that is where they're at with the show in season 2.
And he is obviously the focal point of this episode because he becomes Reeves' roommate.
Yes, episode.
Oh, that's the next one. Sorry, I'm skipping.
Yeah. That's okay. Silent Cheer, I think we covered it. I feel like we got everything in there. I don't have any other notes beyond. Yeah, I've got the workout. Reeves really working it. He had a lot of sweat going on that gray sweatshirt. So I think he really wanted it. I think they were showing it. He wanted it.
But it was a parallel with the kid story where Reeves knew that he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And he realized it. And that's what he was trying to let the kid know by letting him play.
Yep.
So that was the how those two things tied together.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was a good episode. I do have some notes. There's some really cool things about these actors. So Robert DeCoy, who played Carl Simpson.
Yeah.
Of course, he made an appearance on Hill Street Blues. He was in the Walking Tall movies.
Oh yeah, Joe Don Baker. Don Baker, Walking Tall, the big.
Yep.
2x4, 4x4.
He was also in Kolchak the Night Stalker, which was another kind of thing for me.
I love that show. I recently did a rewatch of it, and I would definitely do a podcast on it because it's X-Files before X-Files. It's awesome.
Yep. And then he was also, to precursor some other forthcoming episodes, he was also the voice on the Globetrotters cartoon in the 70s.
Oh, wow.
And
I remember watching that.
On Get Smart. And the Family Affair, Mod Squad, and $6 Million Man, Adam 12.
You can't go that Family Affair. We got Mr. French and Buffy and Jody, and look, Sister Sissy. Oh yeah, I know that show.
So he was quite accomplished. And then
right on.
My other favorite, the wife who obviously agreed to move.
Yeah,
who played Carol Simpson
reluctantly.
Yeah, she was the original wife in the Jeffersons in the TV show All in the Family, but was replaced by Roxy Roker.
Oh wow, huh? Interesting.
And then she had the only African American speaking role on Leave It to Beaver back in the 50s.
Wow, I didn't even know there was one.
She was a maid back then, is what I found out. And then this is my favorite little nugget, and I'll get off my little nuggets here about this, but she was married very briefly for 2 years in 1998 to 2000.
Yeah.
So after I got married I'll give you his name. You tell me who you think it is. Werner Kempler.
That would be Colonel Klink.
He was married to Colonel Klink. When I saw that, it was like somebody knocked me over with a feather because I did not expect that kind of pairing.
There you go. Well done, my friend. Well done.
So it was very good. Right. But yeah, that's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
Not only the story about the boys gone deaf, but the whole, even just seeing them when I watched it a couple of days ago, having how they're drinking beer in that restaurant was just, it was very unique in terms of how 70s it felt.
Yep. Yes. All right. So we got episode 6 of season 2, No Place Like Home. And we now get to learn a little bit more about Coolidge, right? And we find out that he's got a lot of responsibilities at home. He's Mr. Mom. He's got a little brother, little sister that he needs to feed and mend their clothes and make sure they get off to school and pick them up from daycare. And so he's got a little Mr. Mom going on.
Yeah. So you learn that about Coolidge, and you also then have the tragedy of their house being apartment or whatever it was.
Yeah, I assumed it was an apartment, but they never really were clear.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was Coolidge gets called down to the principal, and having been called down to the principal before, he's doing the check of, no, not. What did I possibly get caught for doing?
That's right. I don't know nothing about the car in the pool.
Yep. Yep, that was awesome. But in Miss Buchanan's office is his Warren Coolidge's mom, and she's crying, and they've had a fire, and they're gonna go live. They have to go live with their auntie in
Altadena.
Altadena, and because they've got they'll get them a new place, but it's going to take a while. They're going to have to live in Altadena. And of course, Coach Reeves, being very concerned, says, "Wait a minute, we got a game. We need Warren."
That's right.
He can't play from Altadena.
Exactly. And so Coach Reeves then goes to the team and see if they
tries to find somebody to play hotel to Mr. Coolidge, and he gets no volunteers.
Thorpe close, but then the Thorpe sort of family issues come up for why he couldn't do it. And then Reeves got the idea from the kids, right? He says, "Why don't you do it?"
Yeah, exactly.
So to speak.
Yep. And then later on they tell him, "Don't worry, Coolidge, Reeves is going to adopt you."
So that was an interesting take. And then I think the kind of how when he becomes a roommate, that sort of dynamic is done well. I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was done well too. They could have really gone full slapstick comedy on it, but I thought they handled it well. The one thing that Warren Coolidge finds out is that he's under a lot less of a tight leash with Reeves than he is with his mom.
Yep.
Mom's down in Altadena with his brother and sister, and he's with Coach Reeves, who's just off on a date.
Yeah, goes on that date, comes home, he doesn't have a key, but he opens the door with a credit card. Or not a credit card, sorry, his school ID.
School ID.
Yeah.
And guess what? There's a party.
Yes. There's a party that they come over once his teammates find out that Reeves is on a date. They all come over, raid his beer, and brings girls over, and they're dancing away.
Yeah. No, it was a wild scene. I did note a couple of things. One, when the players found out and Coolidge found out about the fire, the big thing is, what about his great stereo? And I just thought that is going to seem weird to anybody, but I can tell you, as a young man in the 70s and 80s, your stereo was important. It was super important to have a good stereo and everything else. So the fact he took pride in it, that's like a real thing. That wasn't fake. And then the first thing he wanted to see at Reeves' place, let me see your stereo.
Yep. And do you remember what the guys were saying about how his Coolidge's stereo is mostly legal?
Yeah.
Somewhat legal, meaning that maybe Coolidge got it in somewhat nefarious way.
Yeah. Was that Reeves who was telling him? I said somewhat.
Yeah. But that was good. And the party scene, as you talked about, Reeves's date was the vice principal's secretary.
Oh, Kenny Reeves.
And then that was her name. The actress was named Mary Moon. And I don't have a list here, but she was brief actress, but was in things like Fantasy Island, etc. And she did 5 episodes, so we'll see more of her.
Yeah. It's good Ken Reeves settles down a little bit and gets himself a lady in his life. But I got to tell you, there's that scene when Reeves arrives to see that Coolidge isn't by himself. He utters the words, "Are you crazy?" Which resonates with me. There's a sports dad that you would remember. I will just use his first name and say Al.
Okay.
Al's oldest son was having his high school graduation party, and I was being friends a little bit with him, but mainly with his little brother. I'm there at the house party, and there's a keg, and everybody's, and me and a couple of friends are just on the porch at 6 a.m. just drinking beer. And Al comes out on the porch and goes, "Are you crazy?" Because we were still up drinking. So flashback to Al when I heard Reeves make the same statement to these kids.
That's good. And I think, I don't know if you remember this particular part, but do you recall when Reeves and the coach were proceeded to getting closer than the teams, Thorpe, and I forget who he was talking with, had a weird tall people stick together scene discussion about how Reeves and Coolidge are getting close and they're both tall and those guys stick together. It was very weird.
I guess I identified as tall for a long time, then identified as not short.
Yep.
I don't know that I identify as tall now, but I don't know. Do people that aren't tall get together and talk about people that are tall and think that because I don't feel that people that are more vertically challenged gang up together.
Yeah. So I just thought that was interesting, and I think this episode is also the first real lines for the team manager.
Yes.
So
there have been some kind of throwaway ones where like Reeves will talk to him and stuff like at the end of practice, but he actually gets a credit. Good. Hopefully gets a SAG card and got his insurance for that.
There we go. And then interesting tidbit, the guy who plays Coolidge's little brother, Darren, who's trying to get that radio fix that Coolidge is going to fix in that touching scene.
Yep.
He was in the Bad News Bears. He was one of the Bad News Bears. He was the African-American, one of the African-American.
Oh, yeah, the one who was going to steal all the bases. And then, I know exactly who he is. Oh, that's cool. That's a good find.
And, of course, he played a gang member in Hill Street Blues.
Of course, you have to. It's required. It's actually a contract you get for 2 shows.
And then he stayed in L.A. and became a popular DJ. So apparently he's a famous DJ in L.A. Obviously, that's beyond anything that I know. But yeah.
Yeah, this old DJ culture thing. To me, what a DJ was is what it was in the 70s. At a certain point in time in the last 20 years, it became something that's different. I don't understand it.
Yeah, Wolfman Jack is not.
Yes, exactly. Do you know that the Wolfman has managed a station here in the Twin Cities?
Oh, I had no idea.
50s? Yeah.
He was quite, for me, that in my youth in the 70s, everyone there was that night, he was the Wolfman Jack.
Midnight Special.
That's right.
And then American Graffiti.
Oh, yeah.
He was the DJ in that movie, and I think that's kind of where I got to know the Wolfman.
Yeah. And that movie's actually coming back into the theater in 70 millimeter at the Heights Theater here in Minneapolis.
Oh, that's cool.
Heights.
That's very cool.
And then, and the last little tidbit, this was the first episode directed by a woman.
Interesting.
And she did one other, and that is her only directing credits that she's ever done.
Oh, it's interesting. Huh.
So I thought that was an interesting tidbit. I thought the show was done well. I think the relationship was good. Oh, and this is, of course, the new car for Ken Reeves.
Yes.
He's got the Oldsmobile, cream-colored Oldsmobile now, which is nice.
And the thing is, Coolidge could have lived in that.
Yeah, but that was always a great thing that I kind of liked about that. And then I'm trying to think there's one little bit. Oh, I don't know if I want to go back. Let's go back to episode 4 briefly, because it'll set up the next episode, I believe.
Sure.
Is that in that when our poor friend died, a unknown student comes up and talks to Salami and the gang and says, "I heard that Ken Reeves is tough. That's why that kid died."
Yeah.
And Salami doesn't like him very much. And lo and behold, that kid comes into play where he becomes a regular on the show.
Oh, wow.
He plays Salami's cousin in future episodes.
Yes, you're right.
He plays Nick, the typical New Yorker in these upcoming episodes, but he played an unknown student who was belligerent.
Okay, good. We have a more, I want to call it more lighthearted, and then some really heavy episodes coming up. But next week we're gonna see the Globetrotters, who were such a huge deal in the 70s and 80s when I was a kid. Going to see the Globetrotters was something special. Seeing them on Wide World of Sports was something just incredibly special. I'm looking forward to talking about the Globetrotters.
You know what makes me feel old about that, Carlos, is that I won't get too deep into the next episode, but Geese is seen as the main head man, but he was like the replacement for Meadowlark Lemon.
Yeah, it was like Curly Neal and Meadowlark Lemon were, I'm sure, first of all, the Globetrotters go back decades, further than that. It's almost like, who's your Doctor Who? Who's your Globetrotters? To me, it's Meadowlark and Curly Neal.
Yep, that's what that is for me. And I was a big fan of reading biographies of basketball players. Wilt Chamberlain, out of college, played for the Globetrotters before he went to the NBA.
Wouldn't surprise me. A chance to do some. It is interesting, the whole concept of barnstorming teams. It's become huge now with the Savannah Bananas, and now they got the Cosmic Ball, and they're trying to create the Kansas City Monarchs. So they're trying to generate more to get people to go, but there's clearly a desire for it because they're selling out football stadiums. But the whole concept of barnstorming, I'm just surprised that there isn't more. I guess there was the 3-on-3 thing was maybe a little bit.
The big three, or they still do a little bit of that. Yeah.
Time, but there doesn't really seem to be like, do the Globetrotters still exist? I can't remember the last time I saw them, that they're coming to the Twin Cities.
That's a good point. I'll do some research before next week. But your thing about, I know you're more of a baseball guy, Carlos, but years ago, into that barnstorming thing, I read a book about a Jewish barnstorming basketball team.
Oh, wow.
And they had the big Hasidic beards.
Interesting.
And they would go, and it was a very good. It was, I believe, it was a fiction novel. It wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't
interesting.
But so yeah, I think that barnstorming thing was more of the norm back then, till things got more professional.
Well, yeah, obviously before you had television and this and that. But if you can sell out a football stadium, 72,000 people to see your baseball players that you're not having to pay millions of dollars, that's something that people are going to copy.
There you go.
They ought to do it in hockey, in basketball, in football, in everything, because it's like going, those guys are minting money.
There we go. It was a great episodes. I was pretty excited to see these, and yes, we get into some heavy subjects here in a little bit.
We do, but season 2 continues. At this point, I'm a little worried that season 3 might jump the shark a little bit with some new players after some graduations, but season 2 is super solid. I feel like the show is on firm ground and continues to cover new territory.
Yeah, good.
All right, Joe.
Have a good evening, Carlos, and we'll talk next week.
Take care.